this is information about taxe de séjour. It's, most of you, it probably doesn't concern because it concerns a lot of you already, but it's just, it's something that explains what could turn out to be a super win for us as the domain. So it's just for information.
Tax habitation and foncière.
I want one too. Thank you.
We'll give it a few more minutes. Mr. Barrow is not here right this minute because he had a very important meeting this morning, so he will be here as soon as possible. Because we know the time. Okay. Okay, without further ado, give it till 10 past to see if anybody else is going to turn up. Give it another 2 minutes. Excuse me. Give it till 10 past. 3 minutes. Like to be precise. 2 minutes. And then I think this morning you start, but just wait and I'll go through that with you. Just wait, excuse me.
I'll volunteer. Crazy lady.
Can I just ask, is Jenny Scott here this morning? Yeah. Okay. Have a word with you at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Put on the tension.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's just about you. No.
All right. Thank you.
No. Yeah. Nothing on. One thing, the change of venue as well.
Yes.
Because the cinema yesterday, it was stifling.
For 3 hours, I think that's the problem.
Good morning. No, we decided that it would be better to wait a few extra minutes. Yes, I believe so. You've got information on the, yes, that one, and that's a little bit further information about the taxe de séjour. It's more, it concerned everybody, now it sort of concerns a more limited number, but it's important information because it's a victory. And victories are welcome.
Let's celebrate.
Yes. But there's been an accident between a bicycle and a car. The boy on the bike missed the bicycle, car. There's only one winner.
The road is clear now.
Pardon?
The road is clear now.
It's clear. Right. Okay. I think call the meeting open. All into a can't remember the exact term, but it becomes legal, and we then have to be talking about bringing in what they call over here a syndicate. And when syndicates come in, they're the ones that do the gestion of co-properties, and they cost a fortune. And I mean, your charges would go up a lot. I haven't got an exact figure because they are expensive to bring in. They charge. They would take over the whole running of the domain. They take a percentage of Caroline.
Yes, thank you. So I'm Caroline Diennet. I'm very, very bad in English. My level is school level in France, so it's very, very low. So I take my paper to help me. So I'm 50 years old, and I'm married, and I have 3 children. We love La Legue. I've been coming here since I'm born, and I spent all my holidays with my parents when I was young, and now with my aunt family. Since 12 years, I'm a sociétaire.
Yeah.
At Beaudoucer, number 36. Professionally, I'm a doctor. I stopped my job 15 years ago to help young doctors to work.
That's fine.
And 30 doctors. So I think I could help the CA,
Conseil d'administration.
Conseil d'administration, with my
Administrative Council.
Voilà, bon.
Translation.
Yes, with my private and professional experiences. Since September, my cadet son studies at Biot, so I have more availability.
Yes.
I'm 2 weekends per month in the region, in
The area.
area.
Region's fine.
Area. So, thank you for your attention. Have a nice day.
I know, gentle there, but I have the apologies of Valerie Merlot because she has her aged parents with her, and 2 mornings in meetings, they don't like being cooped up 2 days on the trot. So she apologises for not being here, but I can give you a quick précis because I quite honestly didn't have time to do all the translation. Valerie she is accountant and tax specialist. She's moving into retirement because they have what they call here in France pre-retirement. So she's in that process at the moment. Madame Merlot has been part of the to work closely with Monsieur Baron and with Benjamin Bluin regarding the accounts, so that she, if voted in, which is important, that she can take the relay from Monsieur Baron. So she's up to date with, because as it was voted, we have the opportunity now to co-opt experts to work with us in the council. If we're missing something, then we have that option to do, which has proven quite successful. Okay, so that's very much. She, daughter of a sociétaire in '94, long member of the community. I like to call it the community. And she's 60 and would be a very welcome member to the Administrative Council with her expertise, and she's an extremely pleasant woman as well. Okay, and loves her mum and dad. So that's our 2 ladies that are presented. Bravo, welcome. If they get on, that will make 4 of us. Girl power. And now we present a gentleman, Michel Montserrat. And he can speak for himself, being multilingual, travelled all over the world, and a great fan of England, and who I found out this morning has actually been to Buckingham Palace, met Margaret Thatcher.
Definitely, yes.
Dirty Boris.
I got pictures of them, you know. I can
And
prove it.
so he is very, very familiar with the UK and us Brits. Okay, I leave the floor to him.
All right, I'm delighted to speak to you this morning in English, and it brings me back 52 years when I first learned English at the Legue. In fact, my parents bought a plot at La Rocco, and at the time it was a place where there were a lot of English families. Maybe some of you remember Tony and Peter Simmons or Ron and Ruby Stans. I don't know, right? So my first words of English were with them. So I became friends with them, with their sons and daughters, and I would spend Christmas in England as well. And that's how it all started. And from then on, I learned English at university. I was an assistant in Watford for a year. Then I became a cultural advisor at the French embassy to the United Kingdom. And I also worked for the British forces in Germany. So being at the Legue for me, determined my whole life, professional life. Now I'm lucky enough to be retired. I stopped working 2 years ago. I'm in my 67th year. I've got a daughter and one grandson who live in Basingstoke at the moment, and the second grandson is coming for end of September. And this is my only ambition, to be one of them and support the excellent job they're already doing. It's a lot of time, requires a lot of skills. Sometimes it's a bit conflictory because some people want things and others want the opposite, but that's the way life is. So I have no special plan, no special projection as to what will happen. I want to serve and pay back. See, I know the English have a special humour. When I talk about my experience here at the Legue, I always say that the only thing I lost here was my innocence.
Monsieur Michel. My Michel, my teddy bear. Honestly, he really is. And societaires. Implementing this year, especially, successful evacuation. One small example was the tannoy system, was a little bit dodgy to say the least, but everything like that has been rectified. And he also is concerned with the supervision of the pool team and has made sure that they have brought in a fireman whose responsibility is to train the sapeurs-pompiers, because as you know they can all deal with medical situations, and they go through that to make sure that the team is all up to date with anything that new systems or anything like that, so that they're all ready to do their job. We had one of our young BNNSA the other day jumped into the pool to save a little girl who was playing. He said, oh, he was a bit embarrassed. He's like, the main thing is he actually did his job, and that's what people want to see. So that's it. So of course the security, the fire is very important, and that's his job. Okay, very important to us. So that's Michel. Thank you, Michel. Monsieur Bouteau, who is absent this morning because I believe he's somewhere on site, because we've had a few problems, obviously with the heat, the temperatures changing, the climate changing, walls are getting cracked and things like that, so hence the problem we have on the main road, but that is bad construction initially, but now is showing up after many years and changes in hand. So it's become a matter that's quite complicated, but it's in the throes of being resolved. And obviously, we're in France. Won't say anymore. Okay. You already know the essential work that he's done, that he's afforded to the domain regarding all the works, and quite honestly saved us a lot of money in consultation fees. So bravo, Monsieur Bouteau. So tick for him would be very welcome. So that's the candidates. Madame Merlot, Monsieur Bouteau, Monsieur evidently Caroline and Michel, who have presented themselves very nicely. Another thing that we've got going this year, Françoise Leron, a writer of note who has a place here on the domain, He, with the administrator, Monsieur Tête, has we formed the committee Avenir du Domaine, the future of the domain, and all ages, all nationalities are all welcome. I'm part of it, but mainly to facilitate communication, because it's very important. Ideas, but formulated ideas that they will take on board. It will be, and then they will make it a presentation to the administration, and if the money's available, we will get that. Okay, right. Now, the points, the resolutions, because there are certain ones. First of all, have you read the financial ones? Hope you understand it. Please.
Understand the words on the page.
Are there any questions directly concerning that you can think of offhand? The fact that it's in English will help. Any questions, any further explanation required on this? Because, right, I'll explain. The concerns of the approved financial statement. The reason it's a loss is due to recognition, as it says, of ongoing affairs that have to be, the money is there. First problem was with Madam Mayor, who was adjudged to be liable for 1 month's salary. She wasn't very happy about it. She's appealed against it, but the money has to be put aside just in case. Her case wasn't recognised, so we're rather optimistic on that front at that, and has decided to take out a procès because of damage and interest that can amount to possibly €1 or something like that. It's really, quite honestly, it's more of a nuisance case than anything else. Of course, we have the ongoing of Monsieur Mayor. It was postponed in France. We've appealed against it, our lawyers are on it, but now it's obviously blocked with the barrel of eggs. And with the COVID and everything else, they're about 2 or 3 years behind schedule, which means the money that was adjudged to go to Monsieur Mayor has been blocked in a, would be like a barrister with the barristers put their accounts in. So it's blocked and legally secured, okay? There is a certain amount that had to be paid to him, but that's on appeal as well, okay? That's the first part. Right, any problems with I think the part of expenditure is pretty much explained. Are there any questions of that? Have you time to assimilate it? Because then we can go on to the other resolutions. But the question I haven't posed to anybody, has everybody registered for voting? Has everybody been able to register for voting? Right.
It doesn't recognise our mobile numbers.
We're having that problem
Put
again.
the plus and then 4.
Problem de
Yeah, plus 4 and then not 0 off, and that way I managed to get through it. I tried it with the 0, yes,
Right.
yeah.
What exactly is the problem?
Part of the password situation is you have to put a phone number in, and I tried putting.
Okay, and we'll give you,
Thank you.
because they do speak English and they're very helpful.
Okay.
Were you registered to accept the, is everybody here registered for acceptance of the electronic vote? To receive the mail?
From last year.
You signed the piece of
Last
paper
year, yeah.
giving us the right to send everything by mail. Well done.
Sorted.
Well done. The questions actually on the the financial section.
It's only a small amount. What was the case against the AXA insurance company? We
Because
insured them.
AXA Insurance Company were the company who we insured us for the domain,
Yes,
and of course that concerned Gonferrand.
yes.
And they decided, and the action is that we've had it being expertised, and the expert came forward and said we really didn't receive enough money on their behalf. So we are, because we have a company, a law company, obviously, and it's a big company that deals with all different sectors of the law, and they're on it, and basically we're trying to get more money out of them.
It's not
It's
worried
not-
that we're
it's- it-
insured with them for the caravan.
Oh no, when we know that we've now got a new courtier and everything else, but that is an ongoing thing. That will be announced shortly. Okay.
Sorry, Jane, does that mean that basically there's a domain policy that covers individual plots?
No, it will be a policy that you can adhere to individually, but it will be, you will pay so much to the insurance company, but it will be so much for every sociétaire, which you can add to if you want a better cover. But it makes sure that everybody on here has got the basic cover, and it helps on the domain side because it covers us more for replacement of trees and roads
Public
and things
areas.
like that. Yeah. Anything more on the first? Right. So that's the risk guide covers, and we have an increase of revenue, as you can see, and it's mainly due to the increase in the number of visitors, which means because our only income pays the bill. Sometimes it means that we pay in advance, whereas when you're at home, you get your meter read, you pay your bill. So what we'd like to bring in is that taking into account your previous year's consumption, that we'd like to add that to your bill for the charges on the domain, but it's only a percentage of it compared to your consumption, so that there can be adjustments when the final meterage is done. It's so as basically to stop the domain having any problems of payment in the bank, because it has to be paid in advance, so as we stay in the black. So it's because it's just bringing in the system that basically everybody uses at home. You know, instead of the domain advancing your water bill for you, we just like a percentage of the water bill to be paid at the beginning of the year, and then it would be any differences, but I think it's about 80% of the previous year's consummation. Okay, that's the resolution. But because we'd like to do it, but we have to obviously have your. It's just, at the moment it's a project that's it, because we're changing the computer system, and hopefully it won't come until 2024 that that we can send out for 80% of the previous year's consumption, because we have to pay it mentioned, and so it's basically so that the domain.
So we're paying in arrears on what you want us
Yes.
to do.
For the previous year,
Yes.
plus
The new next
an
year.
additional one for the new year, so there'd be more.
Le facture sort en janvier.
Oui,
L'eau est sur la facture.
oui.
Et ça veut dire dans le même année.
Logiquement, si le logiciel
Yes,
dit,
logically yes.
Yes, okay.
But it will only be the 1 year, then
Yeah.
after that,
Yeah.
it will fall into place.
Yes.
But that all depends on the computer system being ready and everything else. But we're trying to prepare, basically.
So maybe instead of it being 80%, it could be a lesser percentage over 2 years, so that you're not being hit with a double bill, essentially.
Proposition, est-ce que ça peut être, à la place de faire ça 80% la première année, est-ce que ça peut être partagé en 2 années les 2 factures? Que ça ne paie pas.
précise quand même que c'est un projet. Si ça ne se fait
Yeah,
pas,
oh no,
si
je
ça
sais.
ne se fait pas au 1er janvier.
Everybody read that one? This is the second paddle court, repair of one of the tennis courts, and of course the evacuation system, the tannoy system, which and that was a total investment of the 150,000 with an overrun of 372 euros 58. So we're asking you to allocate, it's called the Reserve for Capital Asset Renewal, and this will bring the reserve up to 962,702 euros 8 cents. And we have 372 euros 58 to the 22 self-financing fixed asset account, bringing to 150,372 euros 58. And that will be the fixed asset. I hope you know what that means, fixed assets. It's what we own, and the pool and the buildings and everything else like that. That's basically what the fixed assets are. Resolution 4. This has been put on a cautious basis because that really depends on how many visitors we have. So Monsieur Baron is a very cautious man, so always puts a bit more aside than he thinks that we will actually need, which is good because that's the bit that's left over is always with us. So he's a very cautious man where accounts are concerned. So so that's what that one is. So right, resolution 4. This budget is the continuation of inflation, which obviously has to have been taken into account, and he's taken into account that by a figure of 5%. And that, we hope, will be sufficient to cover the extra costs. Okay, these are all very important resolutions to do. Okay, any other questions on those? No? Does anybody need anything on the last part? Because that's quite the main expensive. I think that's quite self-explanatory. Yes? That's about the small amounts we give to this intermed. The project for the budget for 2024, which amounts to 3,215,685 euros, excluding tax, excluding the because now we have a multi-year budget plan for works, so that everybody is aware of the works coming up. And this must be added to the additional call for charges, excluding tax, to able to, and it works out, as it's stated there, at 57 cents per share, and the multi-year plan for the PRIV, which has already been agreed last year, for the cutting of the trees for the safety of the domain. And which will bring the charges to €7.81 per share to this year. Okay?
That's not included.
Pardon?
Is the VAT per unit account?
With VAT at 20%.
Yeah. To be added to that.
To be added to that,
right.
as with all the.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's the reason for the augmentation, to keep up the ongoing work of the domain. Now, when it starts to talk about obliged to recognise off-balance sheet commitments, that we have a retirement indemnity fund. That's a different thing. That's for the employers, the ones who leave the domain. There is a retirement fund in place. The provisional discounted amount is 99,882, and that's a retirement account that the domain pays into for our. And of course, Forum des Arts, they do the management of the cinema, and paid us a net commission of 6,010 euros last year. So the cinema works well and provides us with a nice little income. Cash equivalent, that's readable, I think that. This year the SCE has paid off the bank loans and has recovered its debt capacity. What we like to do, what we would like to be able to do is keep that carrier who the water comes to the front door and then it's the domain who deals with it. We have asked them to do an inspection of the water system because we know that it's old, so that's basically could possibly fall under emergency work. Will be somewhat expensive, so we would like to be able to reserve that capacity for that type of work. Movement of earth, we get a big hole, got to be filled in, that type of thing, so that the general budget remains the same. But of course, that's with your consent that we do that. And the balance sheet of associates receivable outstanding is 488,000 euros 121. That includes societaires who are in dispute, charges, old cases. We have one case which is ongoing. We used to have 9 people in contention for the inheritance. Now we've got 10. It's going up, not down. So we're trying to, that's an ongoing case, but we have to make provision for that type of thing. That is what that section is about. Right. Right. Current account for statutory provision. That's commitments. When you all became societaires, you paid a certain amount into an account, which is put aside. That, if you remember a resolution last year, we asked permission if, under emergency circumstances, we could use that. The reason we asked that is because the previous administration hadn't done and had used money. It's one of those things, but we have to replace that money into that fund. So that's what that resolution is concerned. That is a legal obligation. So much is being put aside each year for that very event. Because basically, if everybody decided to leave the domain, we wouldn't have enough money to pay them back. Now we're getting there. So that's on a... Right, any more questions on the balance sheet? Now, there are certain resolutions that are rather important this year. Right. We want to install, and we have to have your agreement, obviously, to present a pre-agreement. When you come to buy a plot on here, normally you go through a general procedure. What we want to do is so that people know, because we've had problems so that the financial side, yes, accept, responsible for it, but they say, well, you gave permission for the work, but we only give permission for the work. We give no guarantees on the quality of the work. We do not inspect the work. We anticipate that the societaires are sensible enough to have a proper builder. We need to make sure that the domain is covered in those cases. We're covering it for you, so that we're not paying out sums of money in legal costs and arguments and things like that. So that's another. So we're setting up the system of basically a pre-sale agreement. That the sale will not go through unless all points are covered. Okay? So that's an important one.
Does the owner have to pay?
Wait. Oh yeah,
Jane,
that's important.
Does the
Yeah.
owner have to pay for that?
Pardon?
Does the owner of the plot selling it have to pay for that?
And all too frequently it hasn't been done here. So basically we will point out the mistakes, and then it's up to him and possibly the buyer who they can maybe negotiate and things like that, but we will only point out the faults. We will not get involved with the other side of it. It's just to make sure that there are no inherited problems that then they want to become our problems, okay?
Excuse
Now,
me, can I just ask on that one, sorry?
Yes, go on.
On some of the plots, there was work done that was legal at the time, and there's a certificate to say that it adhered to the regulations at that point, but the regulations have changed. So will the seller have to put things right for the here and now?
When we were taxed, anything that is existing on the plot stands. You can sell it, as we said last year, but if you want to do any work whatsoever on that plot, you have to bring it into today's standards. They're not our standards, they have been imposed on us by the Ville de Fréjus. We now follow their planning, which makes absolute sense. And if you have any doubt about it, you can just go and see the planning department in Fréjus and they will explain the whys and wherefores of it. That side of it is covered. Okay? Now, with consultation, because there has been the question of residential domain, there have been things going out on internet. Yes, you can, no, you can't, this, that. Consulted with the Ville de Fréjus, and they have said because of where we are a PLU, which is light, you do not have the right to be a resident on the domain. For the Ville de Fréjus, it is not acceptable, and that is why that paragraph is in, so to make sure that everybody is fully aware of that. When you sign here on the domain, the Ville de Fréjus do not, and very important.
Jenny, do we have an idea of the numbers, of people who would live here on a permanent basis?
Est-ce qu'on a une idée du nombre de personnes au fait qui sont installées au domaine actuellement comme residents? Because those 6 haven't been able to provide evidence of residence elsewhere. Theoretically. They have been billed as was agreed, and
but as they signed the same as we all signed to say that we knew it was non-residential, can we not put something that we all say, oh, we won't live here, we're all signing on now saying no, we're not going to live here. So are they not in breach of contract somewhere?
Yes, that's why they're
because
the only thing we can do is find them.
For everybody else, and they're blatant. Now surely even the cars going in and out. And
we know exactly who. Oh no,
so
we know
why
exactly
can
who is
something?
who.
Yeah.
And for infractions of the road as well, for speeding. Oh yeah, that's about the only. But we can't stop a sociétaire coming in because it's their place.
But yet we've signed something legal that, and it's costing the rest of us lots of money because they've, so the tax people wanted to come onto the domain. And
No.
Yes, they do.
I have to dispel that
I agree with
little rumour. The domain has been looked upon by the Ville de Fréjus as an absent money
Oh yeah, that's what I
for
mean.
a long time. And the domain, as was explained last year, the domain was informed quite a few. In fact, there are still sociétaires that have been paying tax d'habitation here for years who don't actually live here all year. So it's been but now it's a system. They didn't come in specifically for that, but they realised there was a gap in the market. Shall I put it that way?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So now we're tax d'habitation, tax foncière. 6 weeks of the year we come out.
But the tax d'habitation, really, it's got very little to do with them. It's mainly because the tax system on tax d'habitation has changed radically in France. I own a house in Paris. I pay tax d'habitation in there. The sum has been diminished over a number of years now, and I think it's next year I won't be paying it anymore. Now, no government will give money one place and not claim it back in another. And basically they said, well, if you've got a second home, you've got the money to pay the extra tax. So basically, and the reason they've done that is so that young people can actually afford to join, to buy places, so, and things like that. That's that's the main reason they've done it. If you've already got a house, you've got a second one, you pay. You know, any government, they give with one hand, they take with the other.
But we don't have our permanent residence in France. We have it in England, and we're paying council tax, tax on that.
How can we not?
So why are we paying it here? We're here 6 weeks a year. And I understand your logic for people living in France. If they've already
But you're not paying your taxes in France.
No, we live in England.
Yeah, but
We're paying both taxes in France. But we're
but
only
I'm
here
paying
6
both
weeks.
taxes in France as well.
Yeah,
I live
but
here.
your habitation for your
living here.
first residence is going down to nothing. We're paying the full price for our residence in England.
But the tax
here.
d'habitation, it also depends. You pay. It's an existing resolution that has to be changed because apparently it says the conditions checks in out. The translation this year has got.
Can't get into the.
You can change a PDF into Word.
Can you?
Yeah, there's a. So we're hoping that by next year we shall be up and running. Total modernisation, because we've actually got a system that doesn't talk to each other. If you go on that computer, you want an answer about something that you have to go to that computer to find the answer, and then you have to go through the whole thing. It's an old system, is in the process of being totally modernised, which will help with that. And Benjamin Blewin is very integral in all that side. He's an excellent member of our team. I've learnt that. Okay. Right. Article 10. That's about us buying plots. The reason is we have a number of the debt to us, and then we gain. And a lot of these people are quite happy to do that because in divisions between the family, sister doesn't want it, brother doesn't want it, I want it. You know what the inheritance laws are like here in France, and that's where most of them stem from. So what we're trying to do is clear the debt to the domain and give us an asset to sell. There's one plot, it's a huge plot, part of it can't be used, it can be split, it can be used, tidied up and everything else, and we've got a plot of 300 and something square metres to sell for a possible cost of maybe 10,000. It's totally off my head, in my head, but for a lot less. So that's important because that's that will help us on the debt. Excuse me. So basically, it's a way of clearing the debt to us. Now, we've also had a modification of the conditions of eligibility for administrators. Being here a year, you've no idea what the domain's like. So all we're asking is that is societaire for, I believe it's 3 years. Now, there is a date on presentation of your candidature. At that time, there will be an inspection of the plot. Make sure, because as administrators, we should be up together with the rules. So they will be informed in advance so that any problems can be dealt with. But that has to be done in legal form, obviously.
That means then that, for example, my plot's a piece like that and then a ditch. So I have to have it built out just even to put the caravan on properly. So I could never apply to be administrator. I would have to knock all that down before I could apply to do something like that. As it was legal at the time, but it wouldn't be legal now. How does, do you know,
Yes, that
do you understand
is.
what I mean?
La question.
Oui.
Conformity.
Le travaux vérifiés, acceptés. Maintenant, c'est plus accepté par les changements de règlement, terrasse, tout ça.
Oui.
Si elle veut venir administrateur, ça veut dire qu'elle est hors les nouveaux règlements.
Alors, ce qui a été acceptée par la ville
Ouais. Est-ce que c'est accepté?
mais si elle a fait des ajouts, genre paillotes, coffres, abris de jardin,
Ah, no, okay. What was accepted by the Ville de Frege, we're accepting their, that's it, it's been accepted by...
We want you.
I do have a suggestion on that, but yeah,
Right, so, and of course everybody knows that we're accepting spouses now if they have a legal agreement between them, whether they're actually married, paxed, common law in England. It has to be some form of recognised partnership. Okay, but they are welcome just to open the pool for administrators, you know, because it's the one thing I will say, it's interesting. It's hard work, but it's very, very interesting. I've learned a huge amount. Next most important. So, I'm picking out the most important
ça
ones.
c'est pour les gens. C'était pas
Ouais,
prévu,
c'est.
ça ici.
the Legue there, and they've got the mobile, the camper van on there. They live there, don't they? With three, so we've got actually six, Michelle and the lady that.
Right, okay, yeah.
Julie's
Yeah.
there.
This is again to make one in. You have to give the permission for that to be done. So we're literally trying to keep the pool for becoming an administrator as welcoming and as open as possible. Okay. Next one. Oh, right, okay. That's again with voting. Right. That's the same, the repetition, the third of the votes, and then they can come into the administration council. Right, the next vote, resolution 13. A change in wording, basically. The wording is the president of the séance is signed, is the president and administrator. To change it, it is signed by all the administrators, not just president and one more administrator, so that everybody knows it's an agreed decision that the president does not have the power to do what he wants.
That's good.
And all the administrators have a say in it. So that is important. That make sure you tick those for that one. That is extremely important. And also the fact that as we are co-gérants, we're all legally responsible for it. And as to Monsieur Baron's cost, it had a very uncomfortable moment in the police station because of that. It's all been regularised and everything else, but of course to have your photo taken and your fingerprints, a very uncomfortable moment. So I think we have to thank Monsieur Baron for accepting that for us, although that I'm behind him on it, so you know, thank you. So that's right. Now, that's that one. Oh, everybody.
Pour les conseils de surveillance,
Oui.
il simplement qu'on en a mis un troisième en cas d'absence de l'un d'eux.
Ouais.
Il était prévu une rémunération dans les statuts, on l'a fixé, nous, à un montant de 200 euros.
Right, okay. What we've done is the committee de surveillance, because we had two. What we want to do is have three, because if one is not available, we've always got two that's available. And we would like to let them have the benefit, it's limited of course, that they would get €100 for actually doing the job, once again, with your permission. Okay, that's that one. In case of absence and everything like that. They're the ones that keep an eye on us. Right. the
For 83.
buying and replacement of parcels at Gonferrand. Okay. Obviously, with the changes in the plans that we've had to do because we couldn't get the agreement on the initial plans from the agglomeration of Réunions and its company, presented the new plans. They're going through at the moment, and as is common practice imposed by the tax, some want to leave, in which case we would buy part social at the prescribed rate of €200 per square metre. What we're hoping for, those that want to stay, they will be receiving a sum from the Gonferrand budget to help with their move. What we're hoping is, because that they have the choice to go and look round the domain to see if they can find something, and it's a sum of money that will help them in the move to compensate for that, because the work is necessary to secure the for the domain. Okay, that's the resolution of 17. There is another one, I can't find that on here. At Amiradu, that's coming into the work side. Amiradu, there are 2 parcels in Amiradu. The domain did work on the bend, and it was backfill, as we say in English, it was backfill. It's a rare case on the domain. It's owned by what they call a comité d'entreprise, which is they send it's like giving their workers a place to go on holiday. It's not used anymore, and part of it is because the work that was done by the domain has literally dissolved one of their plots and is taking the other one. We propose to buy it because buying it costs a lot less, because the valeur de terrain à Amiradu.
72 000 euros, je crois, 72 75 000 euros.
Pour les deux? Et on va acheter à
50 000, sachant que ça nous évite
Oui.
des frais de justice éventuellement.
They've accepted a sum of 50,000 for 2 plots that are worth round about between 60 and 70,000, and the work, which is the responsibility of the domain, will cost over 100,000. So it's basically we have already had the okay from the gendarmerie, the army, about the on their land. It's called a bassin d'embarque. And basically what it's for is because it's wild country upstream, when we had the flood, one of the biggest problems was everything coming down with it. Then they took cars and vans and everything else with it, blocked it, and it just became a catastrophe. You know, so we will be able to do that. They've given us the okay. Once we get the permission from the local government, okay? So that's ongoing. But that's a piece of work that once it comes through, we don't have to wait. We can get on with that straight away. And we're doing any kind of work, the bridges, and so, if possible. And as far as the fire is concerned, if there is a signal, something about signalisation pour feu, do not move. All wear the visi vest, we've all got the information, and you will be guided calmly and correctly to a point of it. And I bring that up right this minute because we've had a number of winds recently, especially yesterday's, which was quite strong. With the dry weather, please be very, very aware, listen very, very carefully. And of course, thanks to Monsieur Hall, we had the signalisation in the domain has been improved this year to tell you where to go. Okay? So that's we would like to we're going to ask you for the Gonferrand budget, which we're hoping eventually with the new budget should cost us a little less, but you will be being asked for another appel but to be done in 1 or 2 times, that will be your choice, okay?
Which would be added to the 7.81, which you
Est-ce
mentioned
que ça
earlier.
rajoute sur les 700 000 de cette année et c'est pour l'année prochaine? Yeah. It's a resolution, c'est une résolution à présenter l'année prochaine. It's to be presented next year, it's just to pre-warn you.
So not this coming January?
On a un accord de principe, mais on repasse devant les associés pour savoir ce qu'ils veulent.
Right, okay. So that we can confirm, we're just asking for an agreement of principle, and then you will be asked the way you want to actually pay it in one addition or in 2 additions over 2 years, okay?
Tu as parlé de la piscine.
Ah non, sur les travaux, oui! Pool, the lungs of the domain, the heart of the domain. I presume most people are aware of the problem we've got with the trees. We know about one. The problem with the other trees now, there is a leak in the aquatic pool, which is being caused by the roots. So we either have to pay a fortune to repair the pool, to replace it's all the conduits, the water flow, to pay for all that and keep the trees which are going to continually grow their roots and do the damage, or unhappily to cut the trees down. We're looking into different ways, trees that may be able to be replace them, but certainly a way of to be aesthetically pleasing, to provide shade. We are aware that natural shade is cooler than artificial shade. There are a number of trees, I've already looked into it, there are a number of trees that provide shade that are specifically okay to put by pools. Obviously, that will be the first thing looked into before we put in artificial shade. But it's either that or the pool, and the trees are less expensive, unhappily. The three at the top, near the grassed area, or the brown grassed area. The brown.
Four or five trees.
4 or 5 trees, but we are looking into hopefully putting that. And next year, we're hoping, well, we're getting the plans drawn up at the moment, because the kiddie area, apart from the ground, which tears not just the children's feet, our feet, bumps, bruises, grazes, nicks, it's awful. We're going to try and get that smoothed out, but we're hoping to redo the whole section, because neither of the 2 pools are evacuated. We don't know why. It was just there. They haven't got the evacuation that the other 3 pools have. So whilst as it is something that has to be done, we're going to take the opportunity while we're doing it to put in a real kiddie section with fountains and spouts and of little slides, and really turn it into a wonderful shaded little area for the children, which obviously they're the future of our domain, so let's have them and let's get them happy and in the domain. Okay, that's important. It's more important than big toboggans and wave machines and things like that, which that's mainly for rentals, but no, that is for our children, our babies, which I haven't got yet, but I'm happy to play with everybody else's. I do. Any other questions?
Tu précises que le budget qu'on vote, c'est un budget qui permet que l'entretien ou l'amélioration du domaine. Donc pour la piscine, un appel du fonds sera nécessaire.
Okay. Obviously, the budget is for the works on the domain, and that is part of it is covered. But once again,
Nothing's for free.
hand in pocket, ask for a little bit more money so that we can do it. We're not a commercial entity. It's the only way that we can get money in, apart from the badges and everything else, okay?
It is a balancing act between asking too much and people increasingly saying, enough's enough and
Well,
departing,
that's the bonus. You have the choice.
Yeah.
That's the bonus. You have the choice. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it.
I don't have a
We
choice.
only make suggestions. We make propositions. The administration look at what's around, what people are looking for here at the domain, the future of the domain, which is the youth of the domain. They're the next generation coming along. The thing is, that's why, if the resolution doesn't get passed, the work just doesn't get done. We cannot do anything like that without permission. That's why we have to ask. So the ultimate choice is yours. Okay? Just put no.
That wasn't necessarily a personal thing. It's
The administration are staffing concerns, because we can't ask 2,000 and odd sociétaires about that type of thing. So that's something that stays within the administration. But all these decisions are your decisions. Our suggestions, what we think is for the future of the domain, but your ultimate decision. We can't do anything without you saying.
Donc c'est sur 3 ans, donc c'est 14 par an. Hein.
But we haven't got the list yet. They've done the marking. We haven't actually got the list, and obviously it will be in order of the areas that they feel need to be attacked first. But it'll be done in 3 years. I think it's combien d'amours par?
41, donc c'est 14 par an.
14, whereas it was 3, it's gone up to 14 each year. So it'll be cleared in 3 years. Eventually, it will actually cost us a lot less money. It's an excellent proposition. As far as the wood's concerned, wood will, because it's in their MO for insurance, there is a different way. They have to cut the trees, obviously, with a great deal more attention. That and any recuperation of wood will be offset in the final costs, because some will be done for granule, some will be done for the wood that you spread on your garden. Where possible, where they can bring the truck in to take out full trunks, then that can be taken for plank. But that is it. That will that will be for them, and then that will be counteracted with the final payments.
Le marquage n'a pas été terminé.
An adjustment will be made for that.
Le PIF est fait cette année, l'ensemble des coupes d'arbres sera fait par le domaine. Une fois le PIF terminé, les arbres qui continuent.
Not cut it. Are you cutting yet? We decided that we'll just cut them. They'll be trimmed down or cut. It will be within the system, okay? But once everything's finished, then it will revert to the sociétaire. Because that's what I did. I paid and cut all my trees down. Now I'm contributing to everybody else's trees being cut down. That's community.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. But obviously we can't take on the responsibility for trees that grow after we cut. That then will become the responsibility of this. But the initial cutting will be dealt with by us. Okay? So there's no ambiguity. If you want to trim your trees yourself, you can do. There's no objection to it, but anything else will be done within the actual budget. Okay, so there's no panic. Do I cut? Do I not cut? That's clear. Okay.
Going back to what you were saying about sirens and evacuation, when we come in, there's no system to say or to ask us, would you need help in case of an evacuation that I'm aware
Please
of?
signal it to the map, because that is all in place.
There is a system in place.
Oh, there is a huge. We even have a bus that comes in. Anybody who has problems walking, anything like that.
I've never heard of any of this, and I did ask after the last fire. I was evacuated on foot with my 3 children, and it broke down. Couldn't get a lift off anybody. People driving past with cars, and it was a mess.
Tout pour l'évacuation, c'était réglé maintenant par rapport aux cars, médicaments, aide de déplacement, sans voiture. Tout ça, c'est maintenant en place. Oui, that was the whole thing. That was done. People were taken out on the bus if you haven't got your car, and and everything. That's why registering is important, and that's information that really should be signalled.
Yeah. And I have signalled it in years gone by. Do I have to signal it each time I come? I'm not the only one without a car.
No,
I do
it's a
have
good
disability
question.
that
It's a good question.
affects.
Par rapport, dame a signalé par rapport aux problèmes pour évacuation et tout ça. I don't know what the specific problem.
Je peux pas marcher. J'ai un scooter électrique pour handicapés. Je suis toute seule et
Voilà, normalement,
c'est
il faut
difficile
signaler.
pour moi. Je
Elle
vais
a
pas
signalé,
être.
mais est-ce qu'elle signale chaque année, systématiquement?
Et il faut que dans l'enregistre, une fois qu'elle est enregistrée, on sait qu'elle va être là.
Yeah.
Il n'y a pas de place
D'où
pour ça.
l'importance de l'enregistrement.
If
dois
it's already
envoyer une
registered,
chaque fois.
and, which is very important, registered that you've arrived and everything
Oui,
else,
je fais ça.
then that will come up and it will be, foot were taken and the bus, medical is in place, access for medications, all that is, so you're not panicking, getting your meds out the
I
cupboard.
have a go bag ready.
Right, I do, so it's, I'm
Built
under
out
the
too
same
many
system,
times, but yeah.
you know, passports
Yeah.
and medications.
Yeah, it's all packed.
But there is a in place, if you haven't got time, or you know, you're here, you're evacuated there, you haven't got time, all that is now in place.
Okay.
And it worked brilliantly, and like I said, any of the weaknesses were picked out and have been rectified.
Right, so I sent an email to the monsieur and tell him that I'm here.
If you send it down to,
each
if you
time,
send
yeah.
it to administration,
Yeah.
it will be noted.
Okay.
And, but for your peace of mind,
Yeah.
signal
Yeah.
it every time you come,
Okay,
then
I'll do that. Thank
then
you.
you're reassured.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else I can help anybody
So
with this?
if, as I did, I came earlier in the year without a car, and
Oh, we'll come and collect you.
so would that automatically at the mass be registered that I hadn't got transport out?
Once again, just to peace of mind, signal it.
Okay.
It gives you peace of mind, you know that we know, and we can deal with it from there. Because the list is put out, okay? And, of course, an inspection is done to make sure everybody has evacuated. That's how we found the cheats last time, who didn't play the game, because they knew it was a practice evacuation, so they got caught. It was very well organised.
And did they get fined?
Not this time, not this time, not
We're
this
looking for
time.
high, aren't we?
But they got a very finger wagged at them,
I could have
that's
added
for
to the
sure.
coffee.
Okay, right, is there anything else we can help you with? Yes?
Just a comment. Obviously, a lot of it's been on the finance things. Right, I live in the Lake District, and we've got lots of caravan parks, nothing like this at all. But the fees for the caravan parks, we have.
I checked on that, there are some campings that you've got fees round here, 6,000 a year, you are not societaires, it's not your land, you're limited, it's on a lease, and you have to buy the van off them, you have to change it after X number of
10
years,
years, maybe,
and you get a pocket handkerchief.
Yeah.
So we're very, very privileged here, and that's why we want to keep.
That's
why
And
we
I
say
know we say it's dipping in your pocket, but honestly, thank you very much. It's a very, very important point. On est gâtés là. Et par rapport au droit en mettre tout, les mains dans les poches, c'est rien que ça pour
Même si on
Okay.
voulait, ce sera encore mieux.
Anything else that I can help you with?
Just a question on the wild boar. Because a friend of mine with her 2 grandchildren, the boar went across every single morning, and she's got 2 mobile homes, and the children are playing. She was absolutely petrified.
The thing is, they won't bother you if you don't bother them.
Right.
The problem we've got, it's not just here, they've got them in Réunions, San
Yeah.
Rafael. You can blame renaturing for it partially, different rules and regulations now, so we have to abide by those, but that helps keep them out a little bit as well.
Yeah. More or less. Yeah.
More or less, yeah. They're quite wily.
I
Yeah.
have something, it just, I tried a couple of years ago to try and get a newsletter, a type of community amongst the English. There are so many rumours that go around and people hear something and it's badly translated from there. Didn't really get anywhere with that, there wasn't the appetite for it. But I was just wondering if there is a way of having some sort of, maybe even just once a year maybe, a bit like this.
Bienvenue
but
du
just-
domaine. That's what it's for.
This
That's
is
it.
like, I've been.
It's an open field. Francois couldn't be here today.
Yes, he's one of my neighbours. Yeah.
He will be presenting at the AG, so and we'll publish the email. There's going to be a special email, and of course with the improvement in the computer system, and that's what we want to do. It's a way of communicating officially unofficial information.
It's not. It's certainly not from any sort of racism that I want to be English. Or it's not from that at all. I like the community of all.
Well, it's
the
not
countries.
just English.
But
It's
non-French
anglophone.
speaking,
There are
it's,
Germans.
yes,
This
that's-
is
Dutch,
100%
Dutch,
English.
you know,
But we've
yeah.
got the Dutch. It is for
So
everybody,
it would
and
be
that's what
wonderful
it's
if
for.
we could have
We've got a
some way of-
complete mix.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of young ones. We've got teenagers. We've got the grand dame. It's the one thing that we want it to be, a complete mix of sociétaires, of all the different ages.
Yeah.
But that's what it's for.
Yeah.
It's for a different form of communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. That's why it's
That's
been
to
put
keep
in.
it going.
It was suggested, it used to exist, and it was, I can't remember the lady's name, an English lady wrote to me, and that's where it snowballed from.
There was the club on day years ago.
Yeah, well,
Which I paid, it didn't come through straight away, it was a month before it came.
yeah.
But can you still go to the office and use a computer at the office?
In outside?
Yes.
Yeah,
Because I tried and I wasn't
encore faisable de mettre devant le main avec l'ordi.
Est-ce qu'il y a des points Wi-Fi qui marchent ici au fait?
Oui,
À l'extérieur.
Alors,
car j'ai vu des gens.
normalement c'est revenu, mais là actuellement j'ai l'impression qu'il y a un peu de
Ah,
problème.
j'y suis allé hier, ça marche pas.
Bah ouais, c'est ça,
Oui,
même
même
moi j'ai pas réussi à me connecter.
Ah oui,
Et
j'ai-
pourtant, j'ai
Apparemment,
un
vrai- un vrai souci.
apparently it was, now it's become patchy again.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, yesterday I couldn't even send an SMS with my own phone, so I think somewhere there was a general
À
problem.
côté de la poste.
So it's basically just have a check.
By the post
That's
office.
why all that's under review, including a review of osmosis.
Yeah.
Yes, a review of osmosis. Okay, can I draw this to a close now? Are we everybody happy? Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Any problems with the vote?
Ouais.
Phone that number because that is important.
D'accord.
And thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you. Thank you very much.